get in.
And yet I have a fear.
Yes.
And maybe not, and I think it's founded on reality, and it may not be palatable for a lot of folks to hear, but it is true that majority of the people who go to cast their vote, I want to be sensitive, but I must be honest,
yes,
do not know what they're doing, in this sense, that there has not been a connection made between the activity of voting and the leadership then that is brought in as a result of that vote. We don't make a connection. And forget about us sitting in this room and people who want to, you've just said it yourself, even some professors with more degrees than a thermometer will also make a decision based on where they're from as opposed to what this person will do.
Absolutely.
Now, how can we do that? For the person who goes and they say, Mama, just Andika, heavy, put it inside.
Yep.
For them to understand that the things that we see today that we worry about, that you can go into Parliament and make laws, agree on how money will be spent, agree on how much loans you can or cannot take. How do we get to the place where we make a connection between this activity and what is going to happen to you in the future? You see, nobody thinks about that.
Yeah.
We just think about on the day we voted yes, in the box yes, who won, yay, win, oh, terrible. And then we say, are we going to fight? Let's not fight. Let's come together. Let's form a government, and then we move until the next one. We are not making the connection, and unless and until we do, we will continue to cry. How do we do that?
You know, they say the journey of 1,000. That is to say, a journey of 1,000 miles.
Start with a single step.
It has to start somewhere, and I think my own personal opinion has been that we need to expand education. The Kenya, particularly Kenya, because when you look at even our level of urbanization, I think it's just about 20 to 30%. So 70-80% of Kenyans are still living in the bush. I think if we can be able to improve civic education in the context that we get more Kenyans to be more informed of what is happening in the country, just to as a benefit of doubt, so that first of all they know the information, even though I'm biased and I'm going to give somebody the opportunity somebody to become what he becomes because he's my brother or my tribesmate, but first of all that have access to information to know what's happening in the country. It allows somebody to be able to rethink their ideas as they go by. I think civic education will be very good within the communities. And then there's something else as you're speaking, I was just replying what I think I must have lost imenipatia kidogo, is that we can then bank on the new generation of leaders, because then they come in not as but I want to say incited. When you've already cultured into
not
a
compromised.
system, you've already been cultured into a system for so long, it becomes too hard to change on short notice. But somebody who's fresh and new, hasn't been, me, the first time I realized I belong to a community was when I came to college here. Up until then, because I'm a native of Western Kenya who grew up in Mombasa, so mimi ni Mswahili kabisa, ndo maana mara nyingi sana kuja Radio Maisha pale. So I had never taken note of the fact, never mind Dennis, I have a home and there are people I belong to. But to take note that I belong to this community and there's a dynamic to it within the realm of the Kenyan politics is when I came here. And unfortunately, it was just about when President Kibaki had been elected, 2003, 2004, and the fallout between President Kibaki and Raila Odinga is when then I figured, I heard people say, we've been betrayed. So I said, who? Who has betrayed us? They say, that community, we voted for them, but they've gotten into power, into government, they've taken power, and then they've dominated the system. Or people are outside. That's the first time Dennis Mia understood that, I belong to this community and have been marginalized, even though I was living a comfortable life, because my father was worked for many years in government, 35 years public servant. There's not one single day I went home for school fees. I had a different life. So, but you see, I was considered marginalized based on the politics of the day, isn't it? So when you're cultured like that for a very long time, it might take quite some time to be able to undo you.
But the people in the community, in the communities, you reference people who still live in don't know where. But the people in the community, we know when we go down to anybody in the smallest community, you know who is the village drunkard, you know who is the thief,
yes,
you know who is the businessman. We know. You know, for example, that girls who are walking in the village past 7 p.m., don't pass that place where those people sit.
Yeah.
You know, at the very minute whatever, we know the difference between right and wrong. We know that certain things cannot. We know. So what happens? I'm asking. What happens when we go to vote? We just don't even think it's important to understand that this person who is going to go and work on your laws, your money, and your behavior suddenly should not require some kind of thought from me.
No, I wanted to say Kenyan, but I think no voter goes to a polling station. No voter makes a mistake by going to a polling station to make a choice of his own. Mm-hmm. That's what democracy is across the world. You can't force me to go to the ballot station and think like you because maybe our history is not the same.
No. I'm saying to make a decision about this individual when you have not checked what is this person actually going to do when they get into leadership. Absolutely, it's your right. Go vote in a goat.
What did you say?
Which animal did you pick? Pig. That is fine. I am saying, have you made the decision about whether this pig is going to actually go and spend money, make the laws that will actually benefit for the betterment of the nation? Not that you vote, but how you vote.
You see,
why can we make decisions on certain levels about certain things which we know are right or wrong, but then when it comes to leadership, somebody can come and tell you, when you go, this is how you should vote, and then you say, yes, okay, fine, I do it.
Are you assuming that what you consider right or wrong should be what I consider right or wrong of a leader?
No, I'm asking, I'm not even talking about what you consider to be right or wrong. I'm saying, are people interrogating the individuals that they go to vote for? It's not about right or wrong.
They do. That's the reason why somebody walks in and say, I'm just going to vote for this person. He does. And then, somebody asked me, your former colleague here, he's called Latif, and they were saying, do Kenyans vote emotionally or do they vote rationally? That was the question they asked me. And I was telling Eric, listen, all human beings vote emotionally because they have some bias as to how they vote. I could be coming there to vote because Dennis is my personal friend, because maybe it's from my home, and things like that. But and that's completely different from irrational voting. The rationality of it comes into play when now you bring in what you're trying to say. Did he interrogate that leader